Now, when you begin to overstand and understand that you have the ability to travel into levels of yourself that this society does not allow you to travel in, it don't let you think. It don't let you give you a chance to stop for a moment and begin to contemplate the reality of yourself. You don't even know what to do with silence. You get scared when it gets silent. You need something to keep you aggravated, to keep you agitated, because you've become drugged by the stimulus. Stillness is somehow aberrant to you. Just like any other junkie, you need a fix of stimulus. And that stimulus is constantly having somebody talk to you, constantly having your TV going, constantly needing to hear music, constantly needing input. You've been drugged, you've become conditioned to have input. But you are the basis for all information that exists in existence. And if you could still the outside chatter and all the psychobabble bullshit for a moment, you will be overflooded with all of the shit that's encoded into your chemistry right now. If you were to shut out and go into, and I had the experience to go into this tank that takes away all your senses, that is the most horrifying experience I thought I would ever have, because everything came rushing back to me. Without any kind of outside stimulation to keep me distracted, my brain blew up. All my chemistries began coming back, and I began to get these flashbacks from the time I was a child. And until you can purge your chemistry of all these encoded information, these pieces of encoded information, these bits and these bytes that are locked on and become crystallized into your DNA, until you have cleansed yourself of that, you will always be in the wheel of karma. Because you will harmonically keep coming back to the same kind of life form or the same kind of mother-father that vibrates to that particular experience. So when you go into your agitation or your meditation or your me-dictation, and you begin to see yourself slowly, the first thing to meditation is do not refuse what comes into your mind when you go into a place of stillness. Most of these yogis keep telling you, go om, yell, shad, start chanting so you don't hear all this shit. That's bullshit. All you're doing is adding more shit to the shit you got in there. The idea is to sit still. You don't got to twist your goddamn legs up around your neck and your back. Just sit the fuck down. When you sit down and you chill, or you can lay down, Don Juan asked Carlos, find your place of power on the porch. And Don Juan was looking around at this old wooden porch and said, a place of power? What the hell is a place of power? And he looked around, and he was busting his ass, and he's saying, damn, how can I find my place of power? And he was up till 2 and 3 in the morning, and finally he fell asleep. When he got back up, and Don Juan came up on him and said, I see I found your place of power. It's where he went to sleep. It's simple. Lay down, sit down, but go still for a moment. And allow all the noise to come in. Do not refuse the noise. You see, the idea is that the reason why you have held on to your karma is because you've held on to the judgment that you've made of the experience you've had. When you affix a judgment to your experience, you have claimed it. And you have become the judge that incarcerates yourself. So affixing yourself to an experience puts that experience as a signature that keeps replaying itself over and over again because you are the judge. When you begin to see these things come back into your head and you begin to look at all of the things that you've had made judgment of, the secret is to become the observer of the observation and that which is observed. And once you just become the observer and detach yourself from the observation, boom. To look at yourself and to observe yourself without affixing a judgment to what you are observing. Very difficult, because if it is specifically and personally attached to you, somebody fucked you over some way and you hate that person. They did something to you that is unforgivable. Well, you are attached to that. You're going to be connected to that because that's exactly what it is that that judgment has done. Connected you to that experience and thus to that person. Now, in your meditations, as you go deeper into yourself, the best way I see it to be done, and I did it, is to get a picture of a helix. Blank out everything around you. If you can get all your blank walls and look at a white helix. Or white with black helix. The helix is what you see this. Like the caduceus for the, right, what they call the medical symbol or the DNA energy. Yeah, this, not a spiral if you want, true. But it looks like the caduceus with the serpents wrapped around each other. When you do that, when you have put that particular witness in front of you, that becomes a witness to the image that you wish to imprint yourself into. It becomes the way for you to journey into that part of yourself that matches that particular symbol. So as you begin to become still, and it will take about maybe 3 or 4 tries before you become still enough with all the dialogue you got in your head and the monologue to go along with it. See, the dialogue is you arguing with what it is you're finding in there, and the monologue is the judge. The dialogue is between the prosecutor and the defense attorney, and the monologue is the judge. And that's what's going on in your head all the time. So when you begin to see the court action going on as a person outside of that whole drama and not affix anything to that, now the more you go into that space to see the drama, the more faded it becomes because there's nothing to attach you to it. And the more you go into that space where there used to be real noisy, oh, did I turn off the stove? Or I got to be down here and I got to be, all these little pieces of noise you got in your head, as soon as you begin to do this, looking without putting any affixed judgment to it, sooner or later you go into that space and then nothing happens. Nothing comes up but blank slate. And then after you sit down before that helix and you begin to see that helix now without any conditions attached to it, without saying whether it's a serpent, whether it's a helix, it is just a shape that matches itself as a witness to that part of yourself. Now you are in that space. Once you get into that space and you begin to feel yourself dropping into it, that now you begin to see yourself going into this space that looks and feels like light. As you are going into this space where you see it's your body, you will see different parts of your body as bright and parts of your body as gray and hazy. Now, as you're going into that part of yourself, the part that's bright is either overloaded or has enough energy and is not affected by all your thought processes. The part that's dark and gray is the place where you stored all that fucked up experience. And what you want to do now is, with that observing part of yourself, is to move the light or your attention and your intent into that part that's gray and begin to fill that part with the light that you have in other parts. And as soon as you get inside of that space, you begin to feel yourself immersing inside that dark space, and then all the memories of that moment and all the moments that you stored in that area will start coming rushing back into you. And you begin to feel and sense all of the experiences within that moment. And I'm kind of jumping ahead because I know Brother Bobby is ready. But when you are deep inside of that place, that gray area that is not as bright as one area, that gray area is the place where you have stored all of your judgments, all of the experiences of others that have given you pain, all of the shit you've been going through as a human with your mother, your parents, friends, the whole 9 yards. Every piece of judgment that you have that has made you become connected in the next time, in other words, connected you or giving you a ticket back into the flesh. All of those are now you're going to begin to feel all of those experiences. And the more you immerse yourself into that gray area, and the more you keep the intent to bring that light to that gray area, the more the gray area will dissipate. And the more you go back into that particular meditation, the more you will begin to see yourself less and less with these gray areas. Now, I know it sounds like it's, well, how the hell you do that? It goes by, I know something that people don't like to do, repetition, discipline. This is something we don't want to do. We want it done now. Take a pill, it's over. But it was a process that took you into hell. And it's going to be a process